activation of this, more dopamine than this person has ever seen. And so, and people will, a lot of, if you want to know whether you're an alcoholic or not, or a drug addict or not, alcoholics and drug addicts can often remember the very first time they use a substance. They can tell you in detail, they can tell you everything about it, because they had the most profound experience in their life when this system was turned on by drugs the first time. And the brain unmistakably burns into it all those things, it activates all those areas profoundly. So you get this huge rush of dopamine to this area, and there's a very different nucleus accumbens. It has seen something like it's never seen before, and the amount of salience, the amount of importance it places on this event is phenomenal. And one way to think of it is every neuron in the brain, every little cell in the brain just stood up and looked and said, what just happened? This was awesome. I'm going to do this again. And it gets stuck like that, and that becomes the problem that goes on with addiction. When this is happening, this center is telling the brain, oh, you better do this again. We got to remember how to do this again. We're going to find ways to do this again. Nothing is more important than doing whatever this was. It'll say it'll tell you you felt better than you ever did. It will remember everything about what happened and how to get there again. And the motivation to do it again will supersede any motivation that person's ever had. Afterwards, after exposure, after the addicted person is exposed, I think it's safe to say that their brain is a little different. And that center is a little bit different. And there have been some measurements of dopamine levels, and when someone is activated, that center just doesn't feel right. And some people just don't feel the same after this exposure. And without recovery, they're miserable. They start having all those problems we talked about, the restlessness, the irritability, discontent, and some of this comes out as physical symptoms. Remember that not only can opiates, activate this again, but this center is perturbed. There are other things that can activate the system. Because if somebody was in recovery and drugs were the only thing that would activate the system again, simply keeping them away from the drugs would solve the problem, right? They would never use again because they're kind of smarter now and they're in recovery. But we do know that there are some connections in the brain from the hippocampus back to the nucleus accumbens that can activate the system when a person is around the same place that they used to use. And if they're under great deals of stress, the emotions can activate the system again. And again, those slides that Matt showed where it showed divorce, job change, moving, death of a loved one, these are the most stressful situations for everyone, same stressful situations for addicts. These are